Good? All right. All right, it's Tuesday, July 17th, 10 a.m. We're going to open the meeting for the Economic Development Committee. Present, we have PJ, Ellen, myself, and Brian. It's enough for a quorum so that we can officially have the meeting. So we'll start by calling the meeting to order with the pledge, the way we usually do. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We cannot accept the minutes of June 19th because we don't have a secretary any longer. So we do have to reorganize the committee. I'm going to hold off and hope that maybe a couple of other members come in real quick. But it is that time. Brian was, the Board of Selectmen last night did appoint Brian as a full member now. Hey, Don. Barbara Zarowski is now an alternate member. All right. I know Joanne had talked about not re-signing up. I never got clarification, and with her video project, I drafted her for another term, so the Board of Selectmen approved her yesterday for another 3 terms. She can be mad at me.
She want to, or?
She was undecided, so I submitted her name, and we reappointed her for 3 years, and she's especially with the video project that, with that, the business in Dudley, I think that's a great idea, and I think she's perfect for it, and, she does provide a wealth of expertise. So she was reappointed as well. Russ, there was some question on who was the planning board's appointees, and I guess technically PJ and Ellen are the planning board appointees. We thought Russ had to be appointed by the planning board, so Russ will be on the next selectmen's agenda to be officially moved from an alternate to a planning board, a full member here. And then we did get a letter of interest from Mark Mazziotti, who was the former chairman of the planning board. He did not run for a new term, and he's willing to serve as an alternate for that other open spot once Russ becomes a full member.
Good. Okay, good.
So what I would ask is there any objection to, on the EDC's part, of appointing Mark as the alternate for the for the Economic Development Committee? All right. So, well, at least what we'll do is we'll take a vote on that from our side, so I can then put that on the Board of Selectmen's agenda as well. So, is there a motion to accept Mark Mazziotti as the alternate member of the EDC?
So moved.
All right. PJ has made that motion. Is there a second? All right. Ellen has seconded it. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All right, I'll let Mark know. We're going to jump right to the Economic Development Plan update. We have 2 guests here from CMRPC who've been the primary technical drivers of our Economic Development Plan. As you know, within our document we have some kind of general, specific kind of goals, and then there's a lot of due diligence and where we need some professional expertise and guidance, and that's where CMRPC's come in with the Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3. Ron Barron, who was part of our Phase 1, is not going to be doing the Phase 2 or 3. We have Kerry Sowa and Trish Settles from CMRPC, so come up to the mic and I will turn the floor over to you.
Awesome. Thanks for letting us join you today.
Oh, you're very welcome.
We were here last week and had a check-in with Don on kind of where you guys are at, and just to kind of kick off a number of projects that we've been working on with Dudley, kind of revisit what Ron had done for you guys last year in terms of the asset inventory, and just figure out kind of how we can proceed with you guys, and to take on the so we were awarded about $8,000 or staff time, art staff time, essentially to take it that next step.
Okay.
And that's out of district local technical assistance, which is funded out of the legislature. We get it, a chunk of money, about $240,000, to provide services to our communities. And it's really great pot of money because it allows us to do projects that you guys really steer. It's not, we don't typically do master plans or open space plans. We don't do those, but we are able to kind of take a number of projects that next step. And so we've got, I think this year, 26, almost 30 individual projects across our region, which is City of Worcester and 39 surrounding communities. So it's a perfect pot of money for us to be able to provide you with additional services to take your economic development plan that next step. So we chatted a little bit with Don about that last week. He provided us with a copy of the economic development plan that you guys have just drafted. And we took a look at that, and we, I think as you mentioned, it has a number of kind of action items that I feel like we think we can help you guys with. We're building, Ron was really good to work with you guys. We're building kind of a more robust economic development team. Carrie's been on board a month and a half now.
All right, welcome aboard.
She brings a fantastic skill set. We're very excited about having her kind of leading that team. Ron is also, available to come in and advise us on what he's done. So he's not gone. He's still around. He still works on a variety of projects with us. It's just a matter of staffing, and so it's always a matter of putting the right team together, bringing the right skills to the table at the right time. So with that, maybe you can talk about what you saw in the plan that you think we can help them with.
Yeah, like Trish said, we had a chance to meet last week with Don to go over different projects that are going on in Dudley and that are in the pipeline or that we've worked on before, kind of give me a history of what we've done so far for Dudley. I did have a chance to go through the plan pretty in depth, and it's really impressive. I don't know if you put it together collaboratively, but I think if we had a chance to maybe go over some of the goals that you have in mind, we'll have a better idea of where we can help you from there.
All right. So this would be officially the kickoff of the phase 2 now.
There we go.
All right.
So we have essentially between now and the end of December, because this is calendar year.
Yep.
That doesn't mean that we walk out the door and you'll never see us again in December. It just
Yeah.
means that's this chunk of money needs to be spent out before then. We'll just come up with like a summary memo of whatever we do by that date. It's just calendar year funding for the legislative cycle. So. And it's essentially about 2 weeks of Carrie's time or our time to work on that. So give you a sense of how much effort will go into this.
Okay.
But as Carrie pointed out, where do you feel you guys really want to, there's a number of kind of directions you can take that. Are there some priorities that you feel that are really the top of your to-do list that we can assist you with?
Well, with your phase 2, there were some specific goals at CMRPC because, again, relying upon CMRPC for the technical, whether it's zoning, right, and some of our rules and regulations, based upon everything that we've heard from the community and different, departments, our number one issue is we really do need to upgrade our sewer system, water sewer system. We've been piecemealing it. A lot of parts are 100 years old, but that's really kind of an overall comprehensive project that we've got to get the Water Sewer Commission involved with. But we want to make sure that if somebody's looking to expand somewhere in Worcester County, for instance, we went to a Worcester Regional Chamber event, and there were some biotech companies over in Boston. There was a member of one of the councils there that was looking for land, so that they could do, some agricultural research and things like that. How do we get them to think of Dudley first? And then if they do think of Dudley, is our zoning compatible, with what they need? I would really, like your opinion and expertise of where you think you could be most valuable to us. I mean, you kind of get an overall sense with the plan here. If there's specific items that you say, we can nail this for the town.
Yep.
I would do that. I mean, I'll open up to the board. Okay. So, in your initial review, is there anything that really popped out that you wanted to jump on?
Well, there were a couple different goals that I felt like we could help you with, but I wasn't sure how far you were into getting them going.
Well,
That's where we're at, right?
yeah, that's exactly where we're at. So this is a draft. Right now, after your portion's over, we're going to go, well, everyone's had a chance to kind of digest it over the past month. There'll be some recommendations, some changes, some wording changes, things like that. Right now, we're scheduled to meet with the Board of Selectmen on July 30th to actually present this plan. And what the intent was we were going to take this plan, we were going to do the Adobe PDF and combine what CMRPC did right onto this plan as well.
Okay.
So we had kind of the general, and then the last page, I think there might be a little,
Yeah, I think there's a.
yeah, right? It's
Yeah,
just like the
exactly.
cover
There
sheet.
you go.
Yeah, so at
Yeah.
that point, our intention was to merge the PDF so that it is not
Part
two
of it.
separate plans, but one plan.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, that does.
Yeah.
And then there are some addendums that we received from various departments. Like the library had, a plan. Water sewer was working on a plan, and then when that was done, they were going to send that over to us as well, so that we'd have an idea of what they were looking at.
That's a water sewer commission.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're kind of at the point now, prioritize and set action items, and this is the conversation we had at our last meeting, is there's a lot of nice information here. I think, and we're still in the discussion of, are we gonna put a cover sheet on this that says, here are the priorities? Because, John and I have been kind of going back and forth a little bit, but what you're talking about, prioritizing and then presenting that to the Board of Selectmen so that we kind of set the stage of, in my opinion, this is our action item for the next 1, 3, 5 years, this group of people. And how do we focus and align the town to move in that direction out of all of this information? There's a lot of information here, but it can't do it all, right? And that's what you're saying. So you're the, one of the major stakeholders in helping us with hopefully prioritizing this and creating maybe a cover sheet to this to present to the board.
Well, I think what we were looking at was 4 areas, really. Three, actual physical areas and 1 subject area. Subject area being agriculture.
Right.
Agricultural resources, because we have so much in town that's probably not totally utilized. More than 20% of the town is in Chapter 61A,
Yeah.
example.
Yeah,
Agriculture, and then we're looking at 3 sort of business areas
right.
focused on pretty much the adjacent land and Webster in that area along the town line. The other one being the Airport Road area.
Yeah, right, because the mandate was revitalize West Main Street,
Right.
right? Try to lower Schofield,
Lower Schofield too, yes.
Yeah,
The other area.
because you've got Hanky Sass there.
Right.
You've got prime, almost pad-ready land already there available for building, and that works.
Yeah.
There was as part of the revitalized West Main Street, right, it kind of included that whole like park and shop area, Airport Road, right? How do you connect the college,
Knowledge to the Airport Road.
yeah, to the Airport Road area to be a little bit more vibrant? So, that kind of and then the agriculture, but we are, one of the recommendations is to create an agricultural commission.
Yep.
And I think really we're going to task them with the agricultural portion, because there are a lot of resources available. Mass Department of Agriculture, I mean, there's a lot of monies out there for crop transitions, and so if we can get, agencies like the Grange and some of the local farmers to really have a strong agricultural commission. I mean, our ultimate goal, we'd love to make Dudley the Napa Valley of,
I saw that.
Right.
Central Mass,
Great.
The soil's right, everything
the
we've
stars,
told.
right?
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
I mean, and we're able to help the Ag Commission as well. We
Yeah.
actually do have quite a bit of resources that we've developed over the last 3 or 4 years with regard to agriculture. I sit on the board of the Central Mass Grown, which is
Oh, okay.
the local buy
Great.
local. It really is there to promote some of the agriculture, and they recognize the challenges, in towns like Dudley where you have so much land, literally 2,000 acres of ag land that's not being used to its highest potential. And we can, I have a meeting on Friday with the Commissioner of Ag, John LeBeau, and other folks at a number of the farms in the region. So I feel like we do have some resources we can share with them as well. So we can carve off a bit of this to assist them if that's if that makes sense for you guys.
Yep.
In terms
That
of
would be
doing
very-
some marketing and really kind of building the resources that there are a number of workshops out there. Who is it? There are a couple of the farms in the area who participate with Central Mass Grown and have looked for those kind of small business resources that makes them more viable. Is that because so few of them are actually kind of full-time farmers. I mean, a lot of them are kind of second career, second avocation kind of farms, or I don't want to call them hobby farmers because it's not a hobby at this point. They're really using.
One who just moved in here is going to actually try. I think they're semi-retired, and they're going to actually couple.
Yeah.
They're actually going to try to make a go of it.
Yeah. So there's
Local grown,
yeah. So there are some resources out there, and we can kind of figure out, if there are opportunities to kind of market their goods, in a
Right.
better way.
So out of this, John, the priorities would be number 2, right? If you were to look at your plan, if, as a group, if we would identify the 4, the water sewer infrastructure, right? The agricultural initiative, the old mill complexes, and revitalizing West Main Street. If you were to have like the top,
Yeah,
or do you not look at it that way?
well, what I'm looking at is we have 2 weeks, right? How do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? So at the end of the day, we basically have
spread
2
out.
full
Yeah,
weeks.
it's not just
Concentrating
2
2 weeks. It'll be
I'm
spread
working.
out as we make as.
So what do we use them for? The water sewer, probably not, even though it's our number 1 priority, right? It's
right.
for
them,
no.
But even backing up from them, from this group's priority,
I would say
you would say those 4 is the top, and then how do we leverage them to help us on one of those 4?
Yeah.
Or 2 of those 4, or whatever.
Yeah, what do you guys think? I mean, probably the revitalized West Main Street, right?
So we can do zoning analysis, and look at, what makes sense, your use tables, make some recommendations with regard to, what's existing, how you guys might want to consider, making some amendments to the zoning bylaw to actually kind of bring in what you're looking for. I think you actually, talk a bit about, what type of businesses that you're looking to attract to the region, what's more compatible with, everything that exists here. So we can do some analysis around, what your zoning actually is now versus what you're hoping to have here, and look at do you need is there more parking that's needed, less parking that's needed, do you need greater access, is there are there traffic improvements? We can bring traffic counts to safety numbers, accident numbers to the table. We can bring in you've got too much rental, you've got not enough, you've got not enough rental. Bring in some of that data to kind of to build the case for what you're looking to do.
Something within
What was that?
taking a high look at too is home occupations.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
exactly that. Looking at kind of what your current
Startups.
inventory of businesses are.
Essentially, yeah.
We actually have done some stuff around some mills. There's some mills are a challenge if they're, depending on what their previous use was. Are there resources with regard to brownfields? We have a brownfields grant. We might be able to do some assessment of the property or make some recommendations. Kind of, again, put together that kind of action item list. Make some suggestions in terms of recommendations that, include, expand your uses table so that it's includes more, types of uses that you're looking for.
Well, the last time our zoning was redone on a townwide scale had to be 15 years ago. there've been a lot of little piecemeal things, but, back then, it was prevent sprawl. That was the theme, So a lot, there were 2-acre, residential areas. We were told to restrict residential in industrial zones, but here we are 15 years later, and the lands that were zoned for industrial are still vacant. We've created a hardship for people that want to build a home there now.
Right.
So I think having, especially being new,
Yeah, thank you.
having a fresh look at the Dudley zoning to make sure that it actually makes sense. Are we missing areas? I mean, did we do stuff 15 years ago along like West Dudley that just doesn't make sense anymore? The home occupations, right? We have such a good entrepreneurial community working out of their homes.
Right.
And-
Maybe there's support for that, maybe there's a matter of taking the mill and exploring kind of the creation of an incubator, a small, kind of
Right.
bringing them out of their homes and creating, a set of shared resources that they can all tap into, a higher speed Wi-Fi, so they're able to bounce ideas off of each other. It can create some more of a innovation economy. So they're, whether they're artists or entrepreneurs or website designers, there are a number of those that are popping up, really kind of bringing people out of their homes and really helping foster a very creative economy or a very robust economic environment.
Yeah, the Webster Dudley Business Alliance, had a number of little sessions going on about the whole incubator idea, and if Dudley does partner with Webster, on almost a regional incubator, and you even look at that Stevens Linens Mill there, what a perfect location that would
Yep.
be, and but I think that's the sort of thing that we would really appreciate, the guidance, the technical expertise. How do we make sure that these entrepreneurs at home can even sell some retail?
Yep.
Typically, I think our zoning pretty much prevents retail trade from going on in some of these homes. But what if you limited it to a couple of cars a day? I mean, is there a way to do that without infringing, or is there a process where the neighbors could get involved? I mean, if somebody's making wooden chairs, as a hobby, for instance, carpentry, and wants to sell a couple of them out of his garage.
Or create a retail space where they can bring
Yeah.
a common
Yeah. And maybe it is a mutual retail space or something like that. I don't know.
So the zoning analysis would cover a lot of different initiatives.
Right,
And
we
give
can
us, and
focus
give us
that-
the answers that maybe would help us get to the next level once we understand a little bit more of the lay of the land from a zoning perspective.
we can also have some conversations with realtors or some of those folks to say, why aren't you coming to Dudley? What are the barriers? It's one thing to kind of guess, right? It's another thing to have, well, we're not in Dudley because they're too far from the highway, or we're not in Dudley because of water sewer, So really to kind of nail down some of those things that you kind of expect, you kind of think might be the case, but really to kind of get a little bit more detail into, what's going on here. It's water, the water system. We can't get enough, fire suppressions, variety of reasons. It could be, and I'm not saying there are any of those.
That was actually an issue with one of our businesses, is they had to put a water pot in for fire suppression.
Yeah.
There was no access to water.
So, and there are resources out there, maybe it's apply for a Mass Works grant, in the next round, because that's what you decided is the highest priority. You bring fire suppression, water system to the town, and you'll be able to attract that many more businesses, because that's the one thing that they're all saying is a huge need. So Mass Works grants, their number, maybe it's more zoning. Hey, Dean, how are you? Good. So maybe it's something like that. And there are some, we just applied for a grant with the city, with the town of Webster, I guess it's town of Webster, to look at the whole corridor, in total, not stopping at the town line. And so we're hopeful that grant will come through, and that'll allow us to do that much more. So been trying to pester
I
them.
ask if you heard any more.
I've been
I was about to
trying
ask
to
you about
pester
that, if
them
you
to
heard
find
any
out
more,
when they're
but,
gonna
yeah.
let us know. It shouldn't be that long. I think we did that at the end of, in May, I think that's when it went in. So we put in 3 grants for several of our, Webster Dudley, we did one for Westboro and one for the town of Auburn. Last year we were very successful and we ended up with like 7 of them. So we feel pretty, hopeful that they like what we're doing and will continue that. So that'll allow us to do a much more concerted, effort along the Webster Dudley and combine that with what's going on in Dudley. And for Webster right now, we're actually doing kind of a similar project, just kind of, and we'll, we do something for one community and it makes sense to wrap it into another community. They just wanted a listing of economic development resources. We'll be able to give that to you, just out of what we've been doing for them. It talks about MassWorks or energy and economic development or DOER, energy resources, or, these kind of things are available either for you guys as a municipality or for the businesses as a business development kind of resource. So we'll be able to add that into the mix as well.
So what I'll do is, let's go around the table, and we'll start with you, Don. What you think their direction should be, their priority, if and we'll just go around and wrap this up.
Well, my first priority would be that I'd say that we want to get the agricultural portion going. Probably what we want to do is meet with the Grange. And I don't know that the farm, what they call it, the Farm Bureau.
Farm Bureau, yeah, we work
I
with them.
don't know if they're active around here in that sense.
Well, the Mass Farm Bureau is kind of across the Commonwealth. They focus on a number of things, and we can talk with them. We can talk with some of we actually can talk with some of the farmers that we're familiar with down here. Have you formed the Ag Commission? They're formed?
No, and that's why, Don, like, my question would be, would we be better off holding off until town meeting approves the Ag Commission? It was never actually, it was that,
It's not
We
populated.
can, but I don't know if we want to wait that.
well, we have, it would be
That long,
October? You got
It's
August.
going to go past December.
Yeah, well,
It's a pretty important.
yeah, well, the Ag Commission, so assume that, town meeting approves it, because I think there's overwhelming support for it.
I don't think there's any harm in doing background research, in
Well,
that sense.
one of the things we've done for some of our communities, if this helps, is we've actually gone in and mapped kind of what we call working landscapes. And we can do that for you, and that might, in doing that, you might have a better, you probably have a good sense of what it looks like, but create a map that shows, the chapter 61, the chapter 61A, even the chapter 61B, not that that's, it's a different type of working landscape, the agricultural preservation land. What we found and in some of our more, out west kind of communities, according to Quabbin, is that there are a number of farmers or farm operations that are not actually part of any of those programs, because as farmers, they don't like to be a part of a tax program. It's just kind of who they are. They want, they've got a small business, and so we'll ask for the business certificates. We'll even scan Google Maps just to figure out if it's a pig trough or a swimming pool. And that's the case of, is it being hayed? We can start to gather some of that information, talk with the folks at Mass Department of Ag Resources to pull out what they know is going on. But it's not only the working landscapes, but it's also, where are the markets for those things? You guys have a Dudley Farmers Market. Where are the other farmers markets that are around? Are they productive, or are they, more of a hindrance? Because what we hear from a lot of farmers is that, if I feel like I have to go to the farmer's market, but it's me and one other farmer, and we're both selling the same thing, so it's not the best use of my time, whereas if there were a regional farmer's market, that pulled in artisans and craftspeople and other kind of value-added producers, somebody who is taking my tomatoes and making a salsa and selling them at the same fair, it's a bigger draw, maybe one day a week, but it's a bigger draw, and people come and they really partake, and so.
This will be a jump start for your agricultural commission.
That's
that's
the
what
way
I'm
I thought of
thinking.
it too. Yeah, just a jump start, so that
Okay.
when we form the commission, they have the information they need to hit the ground running.
Almost
Okay.
do like an open house and figure out who in the, the ag community here would be interested in serving on your ag commission, given kind of where what you guys know and how you want to loop that into the economic development of the area.
All right, so your recommendation is to get some of that ag back around the working landscapes,
Right.
and then what would be the second priority?
Second priority, I think, is home occupations.
The home occupation part of
It's
the
sort
zoning?
what we can do for zoning, home occupations for zoning, and also for incubator space to get these people who are doing work at home to get going in more of a business sense,
Okay,
set themselves up. In other words, I think what we need to do is focus on what we have first before we try to develop anything else that
Exactly.
come along.
I agree.
And the third thing then, again, is to focus on the utilities and what we can do to improve that situation.
okay.
That's the way I'd see it.
All right. Brian,
I agree. No, I echo his sentiment. I
ag,
think it
home
makes,
occupations and utilities?
I think it's a good utilization of, the next step, pushing everything down the road here to get us to take some actions.
All right. Ellen?
See, I like the idea of online permitting. We had gotten into that a few years back, and it kind of got dropped. But to make it easy for people who are coming here to do business.
You
Another
guys have any online permitting now?
No, they can pay some of their bills,
Yeah, that's about
but one of the recommendations was for them to explore, like, was it like Vision or, you know,
Right.
where they can do the building permits, conservation, all that stuff. So that's in there. And that's really a Board of Selectmen and Town Administrator action at this point, once it's presented to them and they know about it. Because there are very well-established tech companies
Yeah,
that
no,
make
there's a lot
that.
of folk, we've got
yeah.
a number of our communities, some of them that went in a few years ago to kind of jump on one provider, and they were able to kind of do it kind of with some efficiency of scale.
What's the most popular one that you see out there?
We worked with this was before I moved into this position, but there was a company called Excella, and I think it's changed hands now. It's they moved to another company, but they're, like you said, there are 2 or 3 big providers out there that are servicing probably the bulk of our communities.
Okay.
We have these peculiar laws sometimes in Massachusetts. I think we got to be careful that
Yeah.
we still have to do paper applications in some cases.
Yeah.
All right, Ellen, so the online permitting is a big portion.
Right. You were talking about working landscapes. Are you talking about the farming community?
Yes, I mean, in working landscapes, sometimes they're supportive of the farming community. It's sometimes veterinary services, large animal vet services. It's, it may be forestry as a working landscape, being able to kind of manage the forest, the timber industry, and we've been having a number of conversations. It's something that's somewhat new to our field as a planner, is to think about really how do you manage forests in a way that, given kind of climate change and some of the things that are happening out there, big storms like we had last night, trees come down, you then have, you're very susceptible to, forest fires if the woodlands are not managed well. So those working landscapes, there's, I think it's chapter 61A, 61 is forestry, right? So really managing those kind of landscapes. So it's vegetables, it's livestock. We have a lot more livestock, I think, here in Central Mass than a lot of people actually expect. The orchards and so forth. So it's really managing those working landscapes.
Okay, that's good. A few years back, we were talking about how Dudley needs a Dudley Center. We don't have a center. And if that was on a map so that we could start planning.
I think there was sort of a focus on that on the village study?
Yeah, the village
Village district.
center.
Which-
kind of-
Village center district.
2015.
Is that something that's already been done?
Yeah.
It has?
I think it's been done, but it's not finished. That's why we're going on that walk at some point in time too. It's part of it.
Well, and I think if we get that energy and energy and environmental affairs grant, we'll be able to look more at that as an opportunity to take that the next step in a much more robust way. I think. I mean, we've been working with a number of our communities around exploring a village overlay district. Creating that kind of boundaries that overlay. Again, it becomes a zoning amendment, but it's an overlay that respects the the current zoning, but it gives you opportunities that the overlay would provide that help kind of create a more village atmosphere, you know, a more often a more walkable kind of a community that drives much more of that village feel.
Right now, we have large areas right along West Main Street that are vacant, and that could be developed. So it'd be good to, you know,
Okay.
think about that. Anyways,
So with the online permitting kind of in the plan, correct me if I'm wrong, you seem to be supportive of the working landscapes portion of their work,
yeah.
and also the West Main Street, the review and zoning, okay? And how do you get that land working there, okay? Is there anything that I've missed?
Well, we tie in West Main Street with things for Nichols College.
Okay.
You know, for the
So
students.
the Nichols
things
College,
to do.
so that airport road, like Don brought up earlier, making that
Yeah.
almost, you know, a little bit more robust and user-friendly, and, all right.
And is, correct me, the Stevens Mill is located proximal to that, or?
It's probably about a good mile and a half,
Okay,
2
so it's
mile,
further than that.
yeah, you couldn't walk it,
That's not really walkable.
yeah.
Not up, certainly it's walkable, but not something you want to do for quarter mil.
Right, okay.
Yeah, if it was right there.
It's not really connected in that
No,
way. Okay.
no, unfortunately.
Okay.
PJ?
You know, I think every time we talk about the ag stuff, I get kind of a zing because I think it's important. I think it's a lot of potential, and obviously you have a level of expertise that could really bring a lot to the table. I agree. Trying to put something ahead of a commission to give them work to move on with. Otherwise, we put ourselves behind a bad timeline, I think. But if I were to add anything to that, you had talked about talking to realtors and businesses about what's preventing them from being here. I think a lot of what we talk about, even though I think we have a good sense of what the barriers are, it's a little bit anecdotal, and to have some outside expertise add to that in our plan, I think carries a lot of merit with it. So to get other agencies on board or other offices within the town. So I think there's merit in that, but I wouldn't put that ahead of the ag work or anything else, so.
How do you see Nichols working with the town?
I'm sorry, this thing is behind me, so.
Yeah, I just ran out of
Oh.
saliva too. But
He said, where do you see Nichols
I don't-
working with the town?
where do you see Nichols in this whole process, working with the town? Programs or student participation or anything of that type? New programs or participation in any way?
I think Nichols is a definite willing partner, and I think, you know, we've been doing a lot more to be involved in the town level, and I think that interest is still very much there. I mean, we want Dudley to succeed as well as anybody, and we are looking for, you know, opportunities for our students within the local area, and whether that be as a, you know, retail
Right.
that they can go and use, or but also to be involved in different ways. I mean, every time you bring up the incubator, I'm like, gosh, you know, that's
Yeah.
it's like
yeah,
right up our
that
wheelhouse.
is-
in
I'd
terms
say it
of
goes
what
hand
she's
in
trying to
hand
do.
with your business
Mhm.
programs.
Right.
Mhm.
Thinking maybe there's somebody even at Nichols that maybe I could sit down with
Yep.
for
I can put you in touch with some
Yeah.
people
to
specifically.
figure
Mhm.
out. Okay. And maybe the Webster Dudley Business Alliance, is there somebody
Yeah,
that I can connect with there as well?
yeah. Yeah, we can, yeah.
Certainly.
I'm trying to think who else. I would love you to be able to sit down also with the leadership at Henke Sass, you know, Webco and Gentech, our biggest employers.
Okay.
And if you could sit down with them and figure out what they're, I mean, again, because we'd like to make sure they're happy. We want to retain them first.
Keep what we have. It's
Yeah.
good.
You know, is there anything preventing them from growing? My understanding is some of them are having problems filling their workforce, you know, and workforce training and stuff like that. But if you could actually sit down with them, and again, sit down with Nichols, and then I think, you know, follow the recommendations, you know, the ag, the home occupations, and
I pulled their contact information yesterday, but if you have a working contact there with those companies, that would be great.
It's easy enough to find out.
So if you want to create a punch list for us of things that you're going to need in order to do your job, we'll get you the information you need, and then we'll let you go at it.
Okay.
Sound fair?
And you polled the rest of the committee, and Don, are you in line with kind of?
Absolutely. I think everything here has got merit, and, you know, the ag, again, it's a lot of land out there, and, you know, the more I think about it, yeah, you know, to have the ag commission start and have some background already and kind of know where they need to steer the ship, good idea.
So we can, what we'll do is kind of come up with a kind of the items that we will provide you with, kind of giving kind of the focuses here, you know, looking to kind of jumpstart the Ag Commission by doing some background work for them, you know, maybe hosting a kind of an open house, if you will, to kind of talk about, you know, maybe that would help kind of populate the Ag Commission or get interest, at least for folks who might want to serve. I don't know how the appointments are made. It's usually out of the Board of Selectmen, right?
Yeah, the bylaw here, I think our recommendation was that it's going to be a board of 5, where we were going to ask for at least 3 farmers, 2 residents that have an interest in ag, and then I think we're going to involve the
Town administrator.
town administrator as well as that. I have to look at what the bylaw, yeah.
So we'll take a look at that. I'm assuming that's on, you've seen that.
Yeah, that's what it was. The town administrator was the last one, I think.
Okay.
I just have a question. I mean, we've talked a lot, we got a lot, you know, thrown out there. Is it customary for your department to give us like an executive summary of how you digest and what that all means and where you're headed with this?
Yes, yes.
You know, just because, you know, we're at this, we're coming up on the Board of Selectmen, I think what you give us, we'll put maybe in that cover sheet, which we still have to think
Well,
about,
this is
right?
phase 2.
Okay,
Yeah,
so,
so phase 2 will be incorporated in here as part of the timeline.
So we'll develop a
Yeah.
scope of service, a little bit based on our
Yeah.
conversation today, what we feel like we can give you by December. In December, we'll give you another memo that says, based on what we've done,
Okay.
these are some other next
Yeah.
steps. And so, kind of the flow of work, you know, so, it won't be a long memo. I'd rather get down to the work of it, but.
yeah, right,
you know,
exactly, yeah,
Essentially summarizing some of the stuff we've talked about here.
yeah.
You know, these are the things that we'll move forward with, and how we'll do it, you know, again, what we'll need from you, what your role is, what you're gonna bring to the table, what we'll bring to the table.
Yep.
And then,
Yep, perfect, yeah.
that we'll come back here in December and kind of summarize what we've done. There may be you know, we might have that open, and there may be a couple meetings in between there, that we'll put in the memo as well. That talks about maybe there is an open house for farmers, or, you know, or maybe there is a conversation, you know, some of these smaller meetings with some of the larger employers.
So not to be a pain, when would we have a summary of what is there a time base?
Some
You
of
have
what we're gonna do, or
Yeah,
what we did.
yeah, what you're gonna do.
We should
tomorrow?
look at that tomorrow and next day.
Oh, okay.
Wonderful.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
All right,
so-
it's all new to me, I'm a new guy, I'm just
Yeah,
trying to,
yeah,
I don't know how
yeah.
this all works, excuse me if I'm asking,
No, and some, you
you know.
she's new to the organization, so her workload, she'll be able
Yeah,
to
yeah,
turn this around pretty
yeah.
quickly, I think. It's easier for us to get it to you quicker. So when does the board,
It's
so you
fresh.
want to attach this to the Board of Selectmen's memo, right?
No, yeah, so what I'll do is we'll take your update on what phase 2 is gonna actually be, and under here where it says phase 2,
Yeah.
where we have, you know, what CMRPC, what the deliverables we're gonna update that.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah, and we'll make sure that, I forget the exact page, but there's a whole section on like the begin the phase 2.
Yeah.
And then what our goal is when we discuss this amongst ourselves, we're gonna reprioritize this, and then, yeah, we'll go, yeah.
Perfect, okay,
Yeah.
I'm up to
Yeah,
speed.
and the thing with this plan, I learned a long time ago, right, never fall in love with your own plan, always be willing to change and adapt.
You've been great at that,
right?
yeah.
That's great advice.
Yeah, you got it.
Good.
Yeah.
So it's gotta be a living kind of working document, and as things change and the world changes around us, it's gotta be flexible.
Personally, I don't like the word blueprint, because that means this is it.
Yeah, right, set,
Stuff.
Yeah,
So I try to
exactly.
avoid the word blueprint in the master plan.
right,
Yeah.
So So you go before the board?
July 30th.
30th?
July 30th.
Yeah, and if you'd like to attend, usually it's at 6:30 in the evening. You know, you could talk, you know, about the technical aspect. They realize we're gonna be long on the agenda. So, but, I mean, if there's something you'd like us to simply read to them, or at phase 2, you can do that, because I'd rather have you spending 2 hours working on us than commuting and coming here.
Yeah, that's true.
Right,
Eating your hours.
It is kind of a opportunity cost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the blessing of an EDC, being able to do this here.
Yeah.
I love that you guys meet in the morning. I know. And not at night. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, anybody have anything else?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Would you like to add anything else?
No, I think that's
All right,
it.
well, thank you very much for coming down and talking with us, and we look forward to working with you on
Very
phase
excited,
2.
yeah. If you hear about EEA, we'll also let you know about that, and we'll take that one. Maybe hopefully that will happen in the course of this, and we'll
Right.
add to the mix.
Absolutely.
This month.
Sounds great. Thank you very much.
By the 30th.
Thank you very much.
All right, beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Yep,
Thank you.
take care.
Anybody that want? So now, next on the agenda, we have the reorganization of committee. We have to at least appoint a secretary, because we have no one to take our minutes right now. And I think, I can think of nobody better to nominate than Brian.
Really? Yeah?
Because we already
Guess for
have
being
other,
here.
and you're the only guy here.
All in favor?
I know the chair's not supposed to make motions, but I'm gonna make a motion to appoint Brian as the secretary for the Economic Development Committee. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Ellen, a second it?
Thank you, Ellen.
On the discussion phase, would you mind?
No, I'll do it.
You sure?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, seeing, we're gonna end the conversation before he changes his mind. All in favor? Aye. All right,
right.
so we at least have a secretary, and then when, you know, more of the members are here, you know, it'll be the chairman, the vice chairman, and then the clerk.
Okay.
Ellen's got a lot going on with her business. She's got some stuff taken off, and, you know, so she would like someone else to become the clerk, so maybe we can get Russ, you know, to step up and do that, or, but, all right, so at least we have a secretary.
So I have to take minutes, is what you're saying,
Yeah.
and write them up.
And what Marcia used to do is, she used to just, because all of our meetings are videotaped,
Okay,
she would just go on YouTube and just, if she forgot something from the meeting, just go there and just type away.
well, you have
And
to
you
show
just-
them where the meeting's recorded?
So if you go to the dudleyma.gov, there's a
Okay.
video center,
Oh, beautiful.
and
All right, all right.
all of our economic development meetings are there. So if you forget something, but usually what minutes are, you'd want to say, okay, Central Mass Regional Planning was here today talking about
Okay.
phase 2. Your understanding was that, you know, they're going to concentrate on ag, you know, the working landscapes, West Main Street, Nichols College area, and look at the home occupations for zoning, you know. Any motions or votes, you want to record those in the minutes.
Okay.
But they don't, it doesn't have to be a novel. You just want to capture any substantial actions
Yeah.
or votes.
Yeah, okay. All right, I can handle that.
Beautiful.
If all else fails, Fred provides us a DVD too.
Fred can?
Yeah.
Yeah? I'll
Oh,
try
yes.
not to generate any more work than I have to.
Except,
Make sure I can get to the website.
Yeah, we do need to vote on accepting this. Do you have notes of things or recommendations or changes? 'Cause I know you need to leave at 10:45. Oh, it's 10:49.
right, so
So,
I'll approve.
okay, so you want to vote in that sense, that yes, you approve the plan with any changes or recommendations that everyone suggests here today?
Yep.
All right, so we'll record that now.
Okay, very good.
And-
Okay.
But you got all your input in, though, that you wanted, right?
Did.
All right,
Okay.
sounds good.
you.
Thanks, Ellen. All right, so then what we'll do is just the final item here. Some good input. A couple of things that were pointed out. The goals. Seem to be a little confusion between the generalized goals and the specific goals. What we wanted, and so it doesn't have to be that way. Do we call them something else? Do we call them different than goals?
Objectives?
Yeah, yeah. You know what? The objectives may be the perfect
Goals
word
is
for
broad,
that.
objectives is more specific, and then under that comes action items or
Right.
Yeah, because
how you accomplish the objectives.
so the generalized goals were to foster entrepreneurial networks that promotes innovation and healthy businesses in Dudley, to capture opportunities in knowledge-based economy, skilled workforce, to support business development, and enable businesses to easily start and expand their enterprise in town. So that's kind of the overall theme, the goals for the town.
So that would be goals or objectives?
Like some of those objectives, maybe.
And then the specific, so maybe what we do is,
What about, can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
What about calling those your vision statements? Vision statement 1 is to foster this. Vision statement 2 is, it's not really, I mean,
That could-
you're
yeah.
just stating
Yeah.
what we want to do, but your actual goals that you set
Right,
are trying to,
right.
yeah, because we have our vision there. That's almost should be our mission statement. So Town of Dudley's economic development vision. Our goal is to make the Town of Dudley a vibrant, community-oriented town. I'm on page 4.
Yep.
That is a great place to live, work, and play. We strive to create a community that will foster an array of economic opportunities for all of our residents while preserving the environmental, cultural, and historical elements which are cornerstones of our town. For the workforce of today and tomorrow, Dudley will provide the leadership and business environment needed to compete in our current knowledge-based economy. So is that our mission statement?
I would say that that's more our mission statement.
Okay.
And then our vision statements would
All
be
right.
the 1, 2, 3, 4.
There you go. That would work. Does that work, Brian, for you too? Where what we're going to do is we'll call this our mission statement. And then what we're going to do is the generalized, what's actually categorized as generalized goals, which would be starting on,
Yeah, I mean, the vision is, I think what you said is our goal, or, I mean, vision is the long-term thing, and mission is more of an action-oriented statement. How are we gonna get there from here? Right?
yeah. So we had simple generalized goals, which is retain, foster,
John, you wouldn't happen to have another copy, would you? Mine only printed off pages.
no, this is the, well, actually, you know what? I might.
I think I have one in the office. If you want to wait a couple minutes, I can run over and get it.
You have one in the office?
Printed one.
Yeah, I don't have,
Can we run when we're done? Because I'm having trouble, I guess.
yeah.
I have one.
Here, you want to jump here?
Yeah, I have one that's all marked up.
Okay. So we had called the simple generalized goals, so now what we call that is,
I would say vision statement of a strong, or, I need a little time wordsmithing, but,
yeah,
you know, it's your vision of
Vision is-
strong community is vision number 1, vision number 2, vision number 3, vision
Yep.
number 4. And how you get to that vision is through your goal number 1, that's the actual bigger goal, goal number 2.
yeah,
Vision is what you want to be. I
Right.
think mission is more what,
Who you
what-
are.
Who you are, yeah.
Yeah.
yep. All right. So that would be our visions. I think this, the strategies is confusing people.
Yeah, you talk about the strategic, 5-year timeline plan, right? And then you go into specific goals. Is that where you're at, or am I?
Yeah. So I should get rid of the generalized at this point on that one. Objective is the communication plan. So we would change the goal there, so the vision there. So how do you achieve that vision, right? Then you have your objective number 1, develop a communication plan, the action items. Objective number 2, increase the networks. Okay, exactly what we do. I think that'll work. I can clean that up.
Yeah.
All right. Yep, so again, that would be vision. All right. And again, we have till the 30th before the final, so the fact that I think everybody's, but what we need to do also is reprioritize the goals, and I thought that was great. I mean, right now, we kind of, when I put them here, okay, goal number 1, 2, 3, but I think a goal number 1 should be the number 1 goal first. Like you said, goal number 2 should be the number 1, number 2 goal. So let's look at those first on the visions. Number 5 we have right now is to bring old dormant agricultural land back to bountiful life and harvest, right? Enable businesses to easily start, expand their enterprise in the town of Dudley. What do you think should be the number 1 here?
Well, when we did the survey, does any of that,
Help us prioritize.
prioritize?
Yeah, I mean, right, if you look back at the survey, it was the ag lands, it was revitalize West Main Street, Lower Schofield, and try to get the mill, too.
I almost wonder if the prioritization, I mean, we want to present to the Board of Selectmen
Yeah.
our priority list, but the buy-in has to be, everybody agrees on that listing, and so do you wait to number those? Like, what is, to the Board of Selectmen, what is your number 1?
Well, we can make a recommendation,
Yeah.
and then they can switch it around. I think out of all of this, we should make a recommendation, because that's kind of, should be our expertise, is from an economic, but.
I think,
But they're drivers to it succeed.
Yeah, they're gonna prioritize the way they see prioritization.
the first thing to focus on is develop what we have, work on what we have, and then work on what we could be.
Yeah, but, in my opinion, I would say, right, economic development is our mission, so
Right.
I would say goal number 4 would actually be the number 1 goal, to enable business to easily start or expand their enterprise in the town of Dudley.
Right.
So, in my opinion, I would say
Yeah.
that 1, and then number 2 would bring old dormant agricultural land back to, I don't know if we need to see bountiful life and harvest, or just bring them back to life.
Almost the same thing.
Yeah. And then,
Entrepreneurial networks. It's kind of as a subset of,
That's kind of an objective, yeah.
kind of, it's not, it's a byproduct of 4. If you focus on 4, you're gonna,
but we also have the goal number 3, right? We all
Right.
know that without the water sewer,
right.
we're just spinning our wheels here.
Well, yeah, and as you look at that kind of comes under
Right,
something with,
exactly.
Yeah.
so maybe that's no longer
Yeah.
a goal.
So maybe I just make that a subsection of that.
Right. That
And so we
and
reduce
number 1
that.
become a subset of 4.
All right. That
That's
works.
what
Yeah, we
Don's
get
saying,
down
like
to
an
3
objective of a
goals.
goal.
Yeah,
If we can get the 3 goals,
Yep.
I think that'd be.
yeah. That works. And so actually, at that point, we would have skilled workforce, right? Helping
Right.
our people get educated and skilled. And then we have enable business easily start, expand, and the old agricultural lands. And actually, the West Main Street revitalization would fall under that same goal as the other ones. That works.
Yeah.
All right.
No, I think that's,
So if I'll do that,
yeah.
and then I'll make sure it's consistent with anything in here. Then what I'll do here as well is I will move anything that was under those categories, 1,
In
3, and
those
4.
groups, right?
Yeah, I'll
Right,
now
right.
shift them in the document
Yeah.
to the proper order here.
Yeah.
One thing I've liked in a lot of the plans that I've seen is called an implementation matrix, or it's what you can call it. Just sort of set up a spreadsheet, goals, objectives, and action items to meet the objectives.
Right, measurement.
That works.
Yeah,
That's
we
probably
can, then you
something
come
that
here,
work
we
well.
talk right off of that,
Yeah.
that sheet. Keeps everybody focused.
All right. We're gonna update the phase 2 with the document that they give us here. I gotta figure out 5 years from now, probably begin the process of updating.
Yeah, right,
Strategic plan.
Yeah, new strategic plan, exactly.
It's gonna be all done, then what are we gonna do in 5 years when it's all finished?
Well, in 4 years, we gotta start talking about the new one.
Yeah. So now on some specific goals. All right. We had review our philosophy of government, right? And I put that as number one because your philosophy of government is going to determine a lot of your action items, right? Are you going to do more rules and regs, or are you going to try to empower your people in town to, make more decisions? Water sewer infrastructure, I had as the major goal there. Making local government more efficient, right? Review the spending. We have the online permit and licensing system as part of that. So that captures Ellen's. Every department fee and licensing schedule, every town regulation. Then it went into increasing town revenue. Chapter 70 funding formula needs to, I noticed there was really no action item here. When I looked at it, and I think what we were talking about doing was just trying to align ourselves with the other towns to hold, rather than Dudley being a lone voice and each town being its own lone voice yelling, fix it,
Yes.
fix it.
Regionalization to some extent.
They need to
I think you
become
can-
unified.
There's a Dudley, Oxford, Webster Chamber of Commerce, isn't there?
Yeah, but this is with the whole school funding formula.
Yeah.
Each town is kind of yelling independently,
Right, right.
and they really, it almost needs to be done through the Mass Municipal Association. There really needs to be an organized effort on part of all the towns to yell with one single voice for the change. But there, it talks about the problem, but there is no action. And again, we know it's pushing water uphill, but they got to change it. And then,
Well, one thing you don't really want to see is you want to work together, because your residents working are somebody else's employees. For example, you don't want to just attract businesses away from Webster for the sake of getting them here and paying our taxes. We have to work together on more of a regional basis than that.
yep. Any issue with the amnesty program for homeowners, building permits? Point out the part that jumped at you, not the bias part. I think it was probably the
No,
marijuana, right?
no, no,
When I
no,
said
no.
madness or something?
There's just a couple word choices that
Yeah.
I have it marked
Okay.
on my, I thought it had printed out, but it didn't print out.
Then the marijuana tax, Airbnbs. Then we had the agricultural initiative was goal number 5. Should I? But
I think
I
you're
need to
gonna realign this.
yeah, I'm gonna realign this. All right.
I think that an important thing too is training for businesses, training for business occupation.
Yeah,
A lot of it's lacking some.
I think we talked about it, but I don't think I actually got the old mill complexes covered. Revitalize West Main Street, Schofield. There were 2 things, and I'm glad you brought that up. One was, how do you, the workforce development.
For specific job positions, often the companies will work directly with the business council of some kind,
Yep.
and they will work with the educational institutions, particularly the community colleges.
I thought I had put it in here, and I couldn't find it. Here it is. I think I need to separate that out. The opportunities of the knowledge-based economy, because we wanted to, here's where the Dudley schools, working with Nichols, But I think this needed to be separated out somehow.
That's maybe more of a regional thing too, the community colleges or sometimes like
Yeah,
England Tech or places like that
all right.
give more education in the, not so much the academic fields, as not saying anything about Nichols, but
I know what you're
there's
saying.
other
It's
opportunities
okay.
out there though, that are untapped.
And then the other thing that I realized that we had talked a lot about, but it's not in here, but it was also in the survey, was where does the promotion of 55 and older housing come into play? Because our seniors have no place to go. And what do you do about that?
So the things you can do, you can make it easier for them to stay in their own homes, or else you can provide them another opportunity for congregated living. Depends what people want to do. I think a lot of people want to stay in their homes though.
Do we have elderly housing in Dudley?
It's Joshua Place, very limited.
How many units?
I don't know the number
Oh,
of
okay,
units.
but it's,
Yeah.
well,
With
so
So-
maybe out of the zoning work
Sure,
that
sure.
they do.
Yeah, you got a plan, you got, I think it's like 20 units gonna be, being built over by Airport Road and West Dudley, right behind, St.
Yeah,
Anthony's.
I remember us talking about
Yeah,
that last.
so,
The
Yeah.
thing to do about that too is to provide more services available for the elderly. We're getting a little bit older, like,
you know, there are, the website actually captures a lot of the services available to the seniors,
yeah.
but, there could be an entrepreneurial opportunity for people to help them stay in their own homes.
That's what I mean, there's gonna be more of a need for that, for
Yeah.
healthcare and that type of thing.
Yeah,
Even just people to do chores or,
yeah. So I'll work on that.
well, seniors wanna stay in their homes, particularly if they're on one level.
Oh, yeah. All right, so I'll redo it. What I'd like to do is at least get a vote here that this is the plan we're gonna submit. We're gonna do some tweaking and editing. What we do have to do is, we will make part of the record any email exchanges, you know, as far as edit this, edit that. The open meeting law requires that whenever you have basically a quorum, whether it's through email or correspondence or like
Has to be captured or recorded?
open
or-
meeting laws.
Yeah,
All right,
Okay.
so we'll just make that part of the record and file it.
okay.
But let's go tweak it up, any typos and stuff. But, so the chair will entertain a motion to accept our draft economic development plan with the proposed or suggested changes that everyone has made.
I make a motion.
All right, so Brian has made the motion.
Second.
All right, PJ has seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All right, so then, I will post the meeting with the Board of Selectmen on July 30th, just in case 4 people show up. But you're more than free to attend this meeting. Once it's on the agenda, I'll send it out to everybody. But if 4 of us want to show up, it has to be posted as a meeting. So I'm just going to do it as a preventative measure
Yeah,
anyhow.
that's a good idea.
All right? And then the next thing on the agenda is just some upcoming events. Just a reminder to everybody, there is a special town meeting on July 26th at 6:30 PM here in this room, not at Shepherd Hill.
So
It's
7
here at this room.
7:30? Oh, 6.
It's at 6:30, and it's for that solar overlay district off of Ramshall. I looked at the selectmen's meeting last night. It looks like they have ironed out everything. They have an official agreement. It looks like a win-win for everybody, but if 50 people don't show up, they can't even open the town meeting. You need a
Oh, wow.
quorum,
Okay.
all right? And then our next meeting is scheduled for 8/21 at 10 a.m. And at that point, we'll kind of look at the schedule again, and we'll, once the rest of the committee's here, and we'll reorganize and all that other stuff.
Okay.
All right, anybody have anything to add? Don, do you want to add anything?
That's it.
All right,
No.
all right, DJ? Okay, motion to adjourn? Brian has made,
Second.
DJ second, any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
All right.
Thank you very much for coming, folks.
All right.
Fred, thank you.